My name is Ed Fallone. I teach at Marquette University Law School as an associate professor of law. I first became interested in the topic of refugees and immigration law when I had graduated from law school and I was a young lawyer and I was representing large corporate clients, and I was looking for some sort of pro bono or free legal advice that I could do to give back to the community. And at that time it was the late 1980s. Civil war was raging in El Salvador, so I was able to volunteer as a lawyer for individuals who were bringing political asylum claims at that time. And it was a very rewarding and eye-opening experience for a young lawyer. As a law professor, one of the things I think it's important for people to realize is that under the law, there really is no more miserable situation than to be a displaced person. Displaced people don't have a home government that can protect them from violence, from sexual exploitation, from wage theft, and so they are an extremely vulnerable population. And their displacement can be caused by a variety of factors. They can be displaced by civil war, by invasion, they can be displaced by natural disaster, and sometimes their home country seeks to displace them intentionally through ethnic or racial cleansing. And once displaced, they are cut off from any sort of legal aid or assistance, and therefore it becomes crucial that the world community find a way to resettle these people. And one of the difficulties is that our legal system is not well tuned to handle displaced people. We have a legal definition of refugee under both international law and US law that doesn't match up with the displaced people in the world. Racial persecution, nationality persecution, religious persecution, political persecution. Those people meet our legal definition of refugee, and therefore resettlement becomes a possibility. But people who are displaced for other reasons, natural disaster, climate change, general civil war, they do not meet the legal definition of refugee. And that's a problem in the law. The law is not attuned to the needs of these people. Ultimately, that becomes untenable. Ultimately, there has to be some effort to change the law to broaden the definition of refugee, to allow more displaced people to qualify for that status. Because once you're a refugee, then from overseas, you can apply for resettlement. The United Nations operates resettlement services for refugees, and the US will accept people who meet the definition of refugee. And when you make it to the United States, you might qualify for political asylum and be allowed to resettle. One of the things that you realize when you actually represent individuals in political asylum cases is that as a lawyer, we're very much concerned about proving facts, proving what happened, finding evidence of what occurred. Refugees are particularly difficult cases because you don't have physical evidence. These are people who flee in the middle of the night. They get a threatening phone call, "We're going to come kill you, you're a labor activist, we think you're a communist, watch out, we're coming." They don't take the time, these individuals who receive these threats or who have suffered beatings or sexual assaults, they don't take the time to think about what evidence can I take with me, what papers, what physical documents can I bring with me to prove that this happened. They run, and they arrive at the United States and they make a claim of political asylum, and oftentimes the only evidence they have is their own testimony. One of the biggest eye-openers for me was how so much just turned on whether or not these people's stories would be heard and whether they would be believed, and how frustrating it was to see people that I believed, but then to see ultimately the decision makers did not believe them. Well, I think this exhibit is coming at a very important time because the current presidential administration has very deliberately embarked on a pattern of demonizing and dehumanizing refugees. And one of the great powers of art is that art creates a shared humanity. It causes people who view the artwork to sympathize with and empathize with the subject matter of the artwork. And I think this exhibit is a great counterpoint to that demonization that's going on in the political arena, and allows people to view refugees as fellow human beings and to put themselves in their shoes.